The war with the labyrinth had raged on for decades, a relentless struggle between the surface dwellers and the underground. But finally, humanity emerged victorious. The Labyrinth Masters, defeated and stripped of their power, were forced to release their prisoners of war. Among the released were an unexpected group, babies born within the labyrinth, raised in its dark and monstrous embrace. These children, products of an unnatural upbringing, possessed extraordinary strength, so otherworldly that they could hardly be considered human. They were known by a term that inspired both fascination and fear: dungeon babies. "There's one more coming," a guard exclaimed as a child was carried out, his small figure trembling from the harsh light of the outside world. The boy looked frail, his body covered in scars and filth, yet his eyes glimmered with a raw, untrained power. "It's safe now, child," one of them said gently. Years passed, and tales of dungeon babies began to circulate widely. While many of these children were drawn back to the labyrinth, one stood out, a boy who refused to set foot near it. His name was Jin-Woo, a dungeon baby whose abilities and level remained a mystery. "He's the only dungeon baby who won't even go near the labyrinth," someone remarked, but his resolve was about to be tested. Deep within Geyser's labyrinth, a group of mercenaries and their employers ventured into the unknown. Among them were two individuals, a woman, Yoon-ju, and a cameraman hired to film the treacherous expedition. Their goal was clear: to capture the labyrinth's dangers on film and strike gold with the footage. Jin-Woo, hired as a guide, trailed the group silently, his demeanor cold and detached. He had warned them repeatedly to avoid conflict and minimize noise, but his words fell on deaf ears. "It's just like any other animal," one mercenary laughed after firing his gun at an injured beast. The creature collapsed, its blood pooling around it. Their confidence grew, their arrogance blinding them to the labyrinth's true dangers. "We'll kill a few more and make millions," another said, the gleam of greed in his eyes. Jin-Woo's expression hardened. He had seen it before. Overconfidence in the labyrinth always ended in bloodshed. "Leave now," he said firmly. "You don't belong here." But the mercenaries dismissed his warning. "We're fine. You worry too much." Turning to the employers, Jin-Woo added, "Follow me if you want to live." Yoon-ju and the cameraman hesitated, sensing the gravity of his words. They followed him reluctantly, leaving the mercenaries behind. Moments later, distant screams echoed through the labyrinth. Jin-Woo didn't flinch, his steps unwavering. The labyrinth had claimed another group of fools. "Wait up!" Yoon-ju called, but before they could regroup, the sound of something monstrous approached. A pack of wolf monkeys emerged from the shadows, their grotesque forms illuminated by the dim light. One of them lunged at the cameraman, its claws slashing through him before he could react. Blood splattered the walls as the man fell lifelessly to the ground. Jin-Woo's instincts took over. His ability, weakness detection, activated, revealing the vulnerabilities of the creatures. His movements were precise, his strikes unrelenting. Each swing of his makeshift weapon hit its mark, cutting down the beasts one by one. After the battle, Yoon-ju's voice trembled. "Why didn't you save them?" Jin-Woo's expression was unreadable as he replied, "I'm not a guard. I was hired as a guide. They ignored my warnings." Yoon-ju fell silent, unable to argue. The labyrinth's rules were unforgiving, and those who underestimated it paid with their lives. As they pressed forward, Jin-Woo's gaze fell on a faint glow emanating from the wall ahead. A serpent emblem, its eyes glowing ominously, adorned the wall. The labyrinth's presence felt heavier here, its air charged with an eerie energy. As Jin-Woo approached the glowing snake emblem on the wall, a sense of unease crept over him. The intricate design seemed to writhe and shift, almost alive under the dim light of the labyrinth. He hesitated, instinctively stepping back, but the floor beneath him began to tremble violently. A deafening crack echoed through the chamber as the ground suddenly collapsed beneath him. Jin-Woo fell into darkness, the air rushing past him as he plummeted into an unknown abyss. He hit the ground hard, pain exploding in his left arm. He bit back a scream as he realized his arm was likely broken, the sharp, unbearable pain shooting through his body. Groaning, he sat up slowly, cradling his injured arm. His surroundings were pitch black, the silence oppressive. As he adjusted to the dim light, the faint glow of the snake emblem from above became visible. His eyes widened as the carved serpent began to move, slithering out of the wall as though it had come to life. Its glowing eyes locked onto Jin-Woo, and the creature let out a low, menacing hiss. Before he could react, the snake lunged at him with terrifying speed. Its fangs sank into his wrist, and Jin-Woo cried out in pain. He tried to shake it off, but its grip was relentless. The venom burned as it spread through his veins, an icy fire that paralyzed his body. He collapsed onto the ground, his breathing shallow and erratic. As he lay there, unable to move, a deep, otherworldly voice resonated in his mind. 18230 Snake's Releaser, you who will inherit this ominous underground. Jin-Woo's vision blurred, he thought as the venom took hold. Kim Jin-Woo opened his eyes with a sharp intake of breath, disoriented yet aware that something was different. He remembered the venom coursing through his veins, its icy burns spreading rapidly before everything turned black. Yet here he was, alive. He slowly examined his arm, astonished to find that the injury, which had been critical before, was completely healed. Not just his arm, his entire body felt restored. Looking around, Jin-Woo realized that he wasn't in the labyrinth's depths anymore. The air was familiar, hinting at the first floor's entrance. He quickly spotted Yoon-ju lying unconscious nearby. Her breathing was faint but steady, though her injuries were still severe. She's still breathing, but I don't have a first aid kit. There's no one else here either, he muttered to himself. A flash of guilt crossed his face as he crouched beside her. I guess I didn't survive because someone helped me. I'll have to figure this out myself. He picked her up carefully, her weight insignificant compared to the challenges he had faced so far. Hold on just a bit longer, he murmured. We're almost there. Time passed, and Jin-Woo finally returned to the surface. Exhausted but determined, he carried Yoon-ju to safety and sought help. Days later, Jin-Woo entered his modest home, shoulders slumped from fatigue but expression unreadable. The peaceful normalcy of his surroundings contrasted starkly with the memories of the labyrinth. Dropping a small package on the table, he sighed, his thoughts preoccupied. A voice broke the silence. Oppa! Oh, you're home! Hyunji, his sister, appeared with an innocent smile, her cheerful expression faltering as she noticed his face. What's with your expression? Were you crying? Jin-Woo glanced at her briefly, brushing past her question. Here, he said, sliding the package toward her. Use this for your wedding. Hyunji's eyes widened. What? It's a lot of money. Don't ask how I got it, Jin-Woo said flatly. I didn't do anything bad. Before Hyunji could respond, their father entered the room, his tone stern. What's the meaning of this? Jin-Woo straightened. Ah, father, was it your day off today? Their father's brow furrowed deeply. I heard you went to earn money by risking your life, so I abandoned work and came home. Why do you still have that money, Hyunji? He barked, his voice filled with anger and concern. What are you doing? Give it back to your brother. Hyunji looked down, guilt crossing her face. Jin-Woo remained quiet but firm. Father, it's fine. Do you think I'd let you risk your life to marry off your sister? His father snapped. What were you thinking, Jin-Woo? Jin-Woo clenched his fists. I'm sorry, he said, offering no further explanation. Quietly, he handed the money back, but his father's words lingered in the air, unshakable. Jin-Woo shut the door to his room, finally alone after the chaos of the labyrinth. Dropping his jacket on the floor, he rubbed his wrist absent-mindedly, feeling the faint heat emanating from the tattoo that had mysteriously appeared. His mind was a whirlwind of thoughts about the events that had unfolded, but he couldn't ignore the strange mark any longer. As his fingers brushed over the tattoo, a green translucent panel abruptly materialized before him, hovering midair. His breath caught as he read the text displayed. Naga's Labyrinth, Rank 1, Synchronization 16.1%, Durability 41 1050ths, Facilities, Owner's Room, Rank 1, Portal, 1/1 standby. Unrevealed features. Notifications. The owner in charge of the labyrinth is underqualified. Owner cannot activate the labyrinth's facilities. What the hell is this? He muttered, his eyes scanning the words. It looked like something straight out of a video game. He hesitated, hovering his hand over the portal section. The moment his fingers passed through the glowing text, a loud hum filled the room. Before he could react, the portal flared to life. A blinding oval of light erupted in front of him, pulsating with energy. Jin-Woo stumbled backward, shielding his eyes. The hum grew louder, and suddenly the portal's force pulled him forward. Wait, what the? His words were cut off as the portal dragged him in. The next thing he knew, Jin-Woo was back in the labyrinth. The oppressive air was unmistakable, and the darkness stretched endlessly before him. He groaned as he stood up, brushing off the dirt. This place again? His surroundings were eerily quiet, save for the faint sound of something slithering nearby. His eyes darted toward the source, and there it was, the snake emblem he had seen earlier, now coiled and moving as though alive. Its glowing eyes locked onto him. Jin-Woo's instincts kicked in. Before the creature could strike, he yanked his jacket from his shoulder and threw it over the snake, pinning its head to the wall. The snake thrashed violently. Not this time, he muttered. His breath labored as the creature hissed beneath the fabric. While the snake struggled, a deep, resonant voice echoed in his mind. 18,230 snakes releaser. You who will inherit this ominous underground. Jin-Woo's eyes widened. The voice continued, its tone commanding, yet oddly detached. You are too small and inferior to bear the weight of the crown, but fate dictates otherwise. I am not in the condition to hold back the flow of time, so I leave this to you. Jin-Woo clenched his teeth. What the hell are you talking about? Glorious Naga's new king. I wish you luck, the voice intoned before fading. The snake's thrashing ceased. The labyrinth's oppressive silence returned. Great, just great, Jin-Woo muttered. As he turned to inspect his surroundings further, the green panels reappeared before him. This time, new text flashed. Congratulations! You are now the master of Naga's labyrinth. Before he could process the message, the portal behind him began glowing again. He staggered, breathing heavily as he tried to gather his thoughts. The portal's faint glow remained, its energy filling the space with an uneasy hum. Before he could fully recover, his sister's voice rang out from the other side of the door. Oppa, are you in there? Can we talk for a bit? Wait a second. I'm changing right now, Jin-Woo called out, glancing at the still active portal. Without waiting for permission, Hyunji opened the door. Before she could step inside, Jin-Woo stopped her halfway, her expression quickly shifting from casual to suspicious as she noticed his state. Why are you sweating so much? You didn't even get changed, she said, narrowing her eyes. I was, watching a stream, Jin-Woo stammered, forcing a nervous laugh. Hyunji crossed her arms, a teasing smile spreading across her face. Wow, Oppa, you're finally starting to like normal things? Instead of hiding away in your room all the time? Jin-Woo shrugged, trying to play it cool. Yeah, something like that. Well, whatever, Hyunji said, rolling her eyes. Just don't space out for hours again. As she left, Jin-Woo slumped against the wall, exhaling deeply. His moment of relief was short-lived, however. Movement near the portal caught his attention. An imp, wiry and unsettling, was rummaging through the jacket. Jin-Woo froze, his eyes widening. The creature hissed, leaving Jin-Woo standing there, stunned. Oppa! Hyunji's voice broke through the tense atmosphere. Jin-Woo's head snapped toward the door, where she stood hesitantly. Her cheerful demeanor contrasted sharply with his somber one. Ah, sorry. He forced a faint smile, trying to mask his inner turmoil. I'm really fine, so don't worry about it. I was so into the game that everything that happened yesterday went completely blank. But yeah, I'd like to enjoy my first new hobby. Would that be okay? Hyunji hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, sure, she chirped, her smile bright as she turned to leave. As the door clicked shut, Jin-Woo remained still, his eyes fixed on the spot where she had stood moments ago. She's happy, and I let her down. A sigh escaped him as his fist clenched. Sorry, Hyunji. Moments passed as Jin-Woo turned back to the labyrinth. Where is it? The familiar oppressive air of the labyrinth enveloped him as he stepped into its depths. His eyes scanned the shadows, his posture tense. Not here, not here. Everything else is here except Hyunji's money, he muttered bitterly. A system notification interrupted his thoughts. While you were gone from the labyrinth, an imp came and stole your money. To find the imp, you must finish synchronization and activate the labyrinth entrance. The absurdity of the message struck him like a blow. What kind of bullshit is this? His voice echoed through the empty labyrinth as he slammed his fist into the nearest wall. An imp? Stealing money? Why? Another message appeared. Will you proceed with synchronization? Yes, no. Jin-Woo glared at the glowing text, his jaw tight with determination. I need to fix this. For Hyunji. With a sharp breath, he pressed yes. The labyrinth trembled as synchronization began. Jin-Woo felt a surge of energy course through him, the walls shifting and reconfiguring themselves around him. A deep, monotone voice echoed in his mind. 18230 Snake's Nest. Naga's labyrinth has registered Kim Jin-Woo as its master, reorganizing the labyrinth according to the Labyrinth Master. Kim Jin-Woo's synchronization data. Synchronization complete. The oppressive air grew heavier as the changes settled. Jin-Woo looked around, noting the improvements. It's better than before, he muttered. Still dark and creepy, though. A faint skittering sound snapped him to attention. Jin-Woo's eyes darted to the shadows, his body instinctively tensing. From the darkness emerged a wiry, grotesque imp, its glowing eyes locked onto Jin-Woo before widening in fear. Jin-Woo lunged forward, grabbing the creature by its neck. The imp screeched and thrashed, its claws flailing uselessly against Jin-Woo's grip. Where's the money? Jin-Woo's voice was sharp, his frustration boiling over. Give it back! The imp squirmed violently, its frantic movements only fueling Jin-Woo's anger. Stop playing games with me, he growled, shaking the creature. The imp froze for a moment, then reached into its pouch with trembling hands. It pulled out a glowing red gem, holding it up toward Jin-Woo as though begging for mercy. Jin-Woo's grip loosened slightly as he stared at the gem. What the? He snatched the gem from the imp's hands, his eyes narrowing as he inspected it. Its polished surface gleamed faintly, exuding an almost hypnotic glow. A system notification appeared. Down gems are special jewels found in geysers, rare and valued at millions of won. Jin-Woo's mind raced as he turned the gem over in his hand. Millions? This thing is worth that much? What was an imp doing with it? Before he could process further, the imp screeched again, its panic reaching a fever pitch. In its frantic attempt to escape, the imp showed 2 more down gems from its pouch. Jin-Woo's eyes widened as the radiant gems clattered from its palm. 3 of them? What was this thing carrying? As he reached for the gems, the imp broke free from his hands while knocking one of the down gem airborne. Jin-Woo's breath hitched as he watched it stop at the altar's base. The moment the gem touched the altar, the entire labyrinth trembled violently. A deep hum resonated through the air as the altar absorbed the gem's energy. He stood in his labyrinth staring at the translucent green text hovering before him. The system's messages were relentless, and the weight of their implications gnawed at him. You've sacrificed a middle-rank down gem, the prompt read. The damaged durability of the labyrinth will be restored and will proceed with an upgrade. Kim Jin-Woo clenched his fists, his expression dark. On whose command? He thought bitterly, his gaze shifting to his empty hand. The gem was gone, its worth, equivalent to a car, erased in an instant. The system's instructions continued. 24 hours until the durability's restoration. You have 72 hours left to raise the labyrinth's rank. The countdown was unforgiving, leaving him no room to falter. 4 days later, Jin-Woo reflected on how quickly things had spiraled. Hyunji's wedding, which had initially been a source of worry, had gone surprisingly well. The in-laws' generosity had been a saving grace. But Jin-Woo's efforts had also played a part. The down gem he sold fetched 18 million won, less than he'd hoped, but enough to make a meaningful contribution. He smirked at the absurdity of selling a rock for such a sum. "It'll be an issue if Father finds out," he muttered. "I'll have to give it to her directly or something." The thought lingered as the system's chime snapped him back to reality. Labyrinth upgrade complete. The labyrinth had changed. As Jin-Woo stepped inside, the system greeted him with a barrage of notifications. Labyrinth rank advanced from rank 1 to rank 2. Locked facilities have been activated. His eyes narrowed at the warning. Due to the activation of the labyrinth, beasts and creatures a bit far off have detected its existence. The labyrinth's defense is very weak. One message, however, caught his attention. Facility, Naga Nest, has been created near the owner's chamber. The words piqued his curiosity. "Naga Nest?" he murmured, stepping into the newly revealed chamber. The Naga Nest was nothing like he imagined. Instead of the slimy, damp environment he expected, it was surprisingly clean and structured. 6 Naga workers materialized before him, their forms short and stout, more amusing than intimidating. "The Naga workers await their owner's command," the system intoned. Jin-Woo smirked. "A command, huh?" He addressed the group, his voice steady. 3 of you will act as scouts. Map out the labyrinth, investigate nearby resources, and avoid battles at all costs. Prioritize survival." Turning to the rest, he continued. "The remaining 3 will dig, create a storage room opposite the nest." Skepticism flickered in his mind. He wasn't sure of their capabilities, but his doubt was quickly dispelled. Within an hour, the workers had carved out a storage room, and the scouts had returned with their findings. One scout stood apart from the rest, holding a worn map. The system updated the labyrinth map in real time, and Jin-Woo's eyes widened. So many resources nearby. This place has potential. The scout squeaked, drawing his attention. It held up a glowing red gem, a down gem. Jin-Woo's heart raced. "You found more of these?" he asked eagerly. The creature squeaked affirmatively. "Then go back and get the rest," he ordered, barely masking his excitement. "And tell the others too." Later, Jin-Woo stood before the altar, his mind swirling with questions. The system informed him, "You've sacrificed 1 low-rank down gem and 2 lowest-ranked down gems to the altar. The down gems are being replaced with labyrinth energy." He froze, realization dawning. "Wait, did I just trade tens of millions won for possibility?" Frustration bubbled within him. "I tried so hard to leave the labyrinth behind. 5 years of living a safe, normal life above ground, and yet here I am." His gaze darkened as he looked around, the dim light casting ominous shadows on the labyrinth walls. "I get it now. Why dungeon babies throw their lives at this. It's not just danger or survival. It's the escape from the crushing boredom of the surface world." A wry smile crept onto his face. "Right, I was bored out of my mind." The Naga workers stood before him, their glowing eyes fixed on him with unwavering loyalty. One of them hissed, "Naga's king." Jin-Woo's smirk widened. "I will bring glory to the Naga Empire," he declared, his voice echoing with authority. "A glory great enough to encompass the entire geyser." With a triumphant gesture, he raised his hand toward the altar. "I summon Naga!" The chamber quaked, walls pulsating with raw energy. Jin-Woo's smirk deepened, his confidence unshaken. This was only the beginning. The dimly lit labyrinth radiated an eerie glow, its walls adorned with shifting shadows. Kim Jin-Woo stood at its heart, scrutinizing the summoning panel before him. 2 options floated on the translucent green display: the Naga soldier rank and the Naga maid. He frowned, deep in thought, his gaze narrowing at the listed maintenance fees. "Are these the only units I can summon right now?" His voice carried a hint of frustration, echoing faintly in the emptiness around him. To think there would be a maintenance fee. "I can't recklessly spend on units before securing more down gems." After a moment of deliberation, he nodded decisively. "I'll summon 1 Naga soldier and 1 Naga maid." The air vibrated faintly as a shimmering light engulfed the panel. System notifications flashed before him. You have consumed 1 down gem energy to summon 1 naga soldier. A figure materialized within the light, revealing a muscular reptilian humanoid wielding a spear. Its golden scales gleamed under the labyrinth's dim illumination. Jin-Woo assessed the summoned creature, his critical eye taking in its powerful physique. "I was wondering if a naga soldier holding a sword would come out," he murmured, stepping closer. "But this one looks pretty dependable." The soldier stood to attention, emitting a sharp hiss of acknowledgement. "You defend the storage with the workers at the gate," Jin-Woo commanded. The naga soldier let out a loud, obedient "Sheik" before marching off with determined steps. Jin-Woo watched it go, nodding to himself. Just looking at its appearance, it has the physique to survive until the 5th floor. Not bad. His attention returned to the summoning panel. Another wave of light rippled as he initiated the second summon. "You have consumed 3 down gem energy to summon 1 naga maid. Mystery of Geyser has activated. You have passed incredibly rare odds, and a heroic rank naga maid has been summoned." Jin-Woo blinked, taken aback by the notification. "What? Heroic?" The light faded, revealing a striking figure. The naga maid stood tall, her appearance elegant and commanding, her deep blue scales shimmering with an aura of majesty. Her piercing, violet eyes met his, a telepathic voice suddenly resonating in his mind. "Master, please tell me what to do." He stumbled back slightly, startled by the direct communication. "She can talk as well," he muttered, amazed. The maid, Dominique, bowed gracefully, her expression unwavering. The two began walking through the labyrinth, Dominique floating slightly behind Jin-Woo. She spoke again telepathically, her tone calm and professional. "That's the current situation. So even the tutorial isn't over yet, basically?" Jin-Woo sighed. "Well, yes. Please give me permission for the currently explored labyrinth map." "Okay." "What?" His confusion grew as Dominique continued. "There is a lode and a plant with a down gem nearby. We should see for ourselves before maintaining it." The duo moved swiftly through the labyrinth's twisting pathways, eventually reaching a stalactite cave. Dominique gestured towards a weak section of the wall. "The cave wall is weak, so we can break the side leading to the lode and set up a gathering station." Jin-Woo followed her lead, observing as Dominique directed the workers to break through the wall. Behind it lay a small deposit of glowing minerals, including gem-shaped plants. "Sometimes down gems can be mined alongside the minerals that go into forgery," Dominique explained. "Geyser plants have strong survivability, so they don't need maintenance." Dominique knelt beside the plants, her delicate fingers brushing against the glowing flowers as she plucked the down gems from their centers. "I'll harvest them since we're here anyway," she said softly, gathering the resources with practiced precision. "Finally, we should secure this area as part of the labyrinth's territory." As they returned to the main hall, Dominique pointed out a marking on the map. "What is this dangerous-looking mark?" Jin-Woo asked, his brow furrowing. "These are marked as territories of wild beasts," Dominique explained. "Depending on the beast, you could set up a hunting area to help with maintenance costs." Jin-Woo's eyes glinted with interest. "You said your name was Dominique, right?" "Correct." Her voice brimmed with pride. "As you know, I'm from the above world," Jin-Woo began. "I won't neglect the labyrinth, but I'll be in the above world a lot. Can you manage things here?" Dominique bowed deeply. "I understand the master's concern. I will do my best to maintain the labyrinth in your absence. However, since there is no labyrinth core yet, I advise increasing the units and upgrading the labyrinth as soon as possible." Later, in the labyrinth's central chamber, Jin-Woo stood before the altar, holding 3 high-quality intermediate-grade down gems. "You have offered 3 high-quality intermediate-grade down gems to the altar. The labyrinth upgrade is starting." The ground trembled as a wave of energy surged through the air. Jin-Woo smirked, his confidence growing. This place is finally starting to take shape. The scene shifted to a brightly lit shop. A merchant greeted Jin-Woo with a sly smile. "Oh, you're back. I heard Geyser wasn't doing well recently. Where did you find something like this?" Jin-Woo placed a small bag of gems on the counter. The veterans barely roamed the lower floors, The first floor isn't doing well, the merchant continued. Exactly. The wolf monkeys from the 8th floor are coming up to the 1st floor. The down gem supply has been lacking. The merchant leaned forward conspiratorially. How about you contract solely with us? Jin-Woo scoffed. I'm not here to leech off your back. Don't worry. He turned to leave but paused. However, my condition is information on the labyrinth. The merchant hesitated before nodding. That's not hard. In fact, I'll introduce you to a big job opportunity. Go on. Have you heard about hell spiders? Jin-Woo's eyes darkened at the mention of the creatures. The merchant explained, they're tough, but each one carries a down gem. Kill just one and you'll earn more than enough money. I won't do it, Jin-Woo said flatly, turning to leave. The merchant's face twisted with desperation. You have a family to support. I heard your situation wasn't that. The sentence was cut short as Jin-Woo's aura flared violently. The room darkened, and the air grew heavy. Did you do a background check on me? Jin-Woo's voice was cold, his piercing glare silencing the merchant. Calm down and listen to me first, he said. Jin-Woo nodded, clearly pissed. Merchant explained how working with dungeon babies like you, who was a different beast entirely. They're basically superhuman, he added. They aren't all as gentle-natured as you, the man muttered, his hands trembling slightly. He went on, explaining how he was responsible for the condition of the items he received, especially ones like Jin-Woo's. Except your first one, the quality of the others is suspiciously good. I don't even know how you managed to get them with your own hands. I got them all myself, Jin-Woo stated flatly, his voice unwavering. The merchant sighed, acknowledging the hardships most people here faced, parents and siblings lost to the blades of war. He paused, his tone softening. It's hard to trust someone with nothing to protect. People like that can just walk away when things get rough. But you have a family, don't you? Jin-Woo's expression darkened slightly. If something ever happens to my family, his gaze sharpened, his voice dropping to an icy tone. You'll see what happens when a dungeon baby goes psychotic. The merchant paled, quickly raising his hands in surrender. Yes, I get it. I promise nothing like that will happen again. As Jin-Woo turned to leave, the merchant let out a defeated sigh. I sacrificed my credit to check yours. I'll send the down gem money to your account. All right, Jin-Woo said simply, walking out without another glance. In the depths of his mind, Jin-Woo relived a moment of despair. He saw workers kneeling before a grand figure, their voices shaking as they cried out, "We dug the ground for our entire lives for your labyrinth. So why? Why?" The figure they pleaded to was cloaked in darkness. "Du Geyser!" one of them screamed, their voice fading as Jin-Woo jolted awake. "Master!" Dominique's voice snapped him back to the present. The Naga maid knelt beside him, her tone filled with concern. "Are you okay?" Jin-Woo rubbed his forehead, shaking off the remnants of the dream. "I had a dream about the past." "Was it a bad one?" Dominique asked hesitantly. "It's all right. No need to worry. It's all in the past," Jin-Woo reassured her, though his laughter sounded forced. The small group of Naga workers nearby looked at him curiously, their reptilian eyes blinking. "They don't look very labyrinthy," Dominique commented, her gaze sweeping over the workers. Jin-Woo chuckled. "No way, I like them now. It's strange, but thanks to these non-labyrinthy guys, I feel less nervous." His brief moment of levity was interrupted when Dominique spoke again. "Master, I heard there were hell spiders nearby, though they're quite a distance from us. Our labyrinth isn't in danger yet, but other deeper floor beasts could come up here." Jin-Woo's expression hardened. "What's the upgrade status?" "Currently, there are 3 seconds left," Dominique replied. As the countdown ended, a notification appeared before Jin-Woo's eyes. The 3rd rank upgrade to the labyrinth has been completed. Construction is now possible in previously locked areas. New units can be summoned. 6 rank 1 Naga workers have been added. The labyrinth core has been added. Jin-Woo stared at the new addition, the labyrinth core. "That's the heart of the labyrinth?" Dominique nodded. "If it gets destroyed, the labyrinth's features will be disabled. While it's a weak point, it also allows everything to recover, even if the rest of the labyrinth is in ruins, she explained. Jin-Woo frowned. It feels like an unneeded weakness. Before he could dwell further, another notification rang out. A swarm of 20 horned rats is approaching the labyrinth. Time until arrival: 59 minutes, 59 seconds. Dominique, an attack! Jin-Woo's sharp voice cut through the tension. You must increase your troops, she urged. You can't defend with just one Naga soldier. He cursed under his breath, quickly summoning units. As the list of summonable units appeared, Jin-Woo's eyes darted over the descriptions. Naga soldiers, archers, warriors, mages, priests, each with unique abilities but varying energy costs. His down gem energy was limited, forcing him to strategize. Dominique provided further insight, explaining how each unit matched up against the Naga soldiers. A warrior or a priest equals 2 soldiers, an archer is 3 soldiers, and a mage matches the power of 5 soldiers. But mages and priests are weak to melee attacks, so be careful. Jin-Woo nodded. I'll summon 1 Naga soldier and 2 warriors. As the new units materialized, Jin-Woo couldn't help but feel impressed. Beyond my expectations, he murmured. With this, even fighting wolf monkeys might be possible. The Naga workers gathered nearby caught his attention. Dominique explained how mutations among higher-level Nagas led to the creation of such subspecies. That child, she gestured to one of the workers, is facing what it could have been if it was born normally. It still follows orders, but seems sluggish and lacks willpower. Jin-Woo's gaze softened slightly. No need, he said when Dominique offered to teach it. Gather all the Naga workers, even the newly added ones. Dominique hesitated. Master? Don't worry, I'm not sending them to fight. We're going on a field trip, Jin-Woo said with a small smile. This is the first battle of our labyrinth. It's too harsh to make them hide during such an honorable moment. The Naga soldiers stood at attention, their weapons glinting in the faint light. Jin-Woo raised his hand, his voice echoing with resolve. Now, forward, Nagas! The soldiers roared in unison, their battle cries filling the labyrinth. Jin-Woo's eyes burned with determination as he clenched his weapon. Those rat bastards who dare to go after this labyrinth, we shall make them realize they walked into a snake's maw on their own.